Alright, we got some new gameplay of Khazan the First Barbarian. This is by Life. Be sure to go check out his channel if you guys like gaming and Souls-like gaming. Without further ado, let's begin.
Talking about what we learned from the closed beta of the first berserker.
Oh my god. Okay, so we already have a new weapon in the game. We have a spear that's never been seen before.
Khazan, including character customization, stats, and skills and skill trees.
Oh my god. Wait, let's go back.
Including character custom.
Okay, we have character customization now. Vitality, endurance, strength, willpower, and proficiency. Proficiency is how good you're with the weapon, I'm guessing. And willpower is probably going to be like your mana source. Basic stacks, health, stamina, damage. Cool. Additional. Stamina damage increase. I guess this is like the more stamina you have, the more damage you have. Stamina recovery. Dodge cost for stamina. Guard stamina. Okay, look. Oh, this is interesting now. We have fire, water, lightning, earth, chaos, plague, and poison.
Customization, stats, and skills and skill trees.
Okay. Oh, wait. We have a lot of information over here. Okay, so we have dual wield, great sword, spear, and then general. We're going to be having 3 weapon types in the game. I guess that's pretty much confirmed. No way of knowing what's the max level. However, we do know that you unlock skills as you level up. As you can see over here on the left, we can actually see that once you're at level 36, that's when most of these skills are going to unlock. Is this the level cap? I don't think so. Anyways, I hope not. And maybe more things will open up, or maybe different weapons have higher skill caps for the level. And this is also possibly the level for the weapon and not for yourself. But this is most likely your level.
And skills and skill trees. A lot of people, including myself, have been looking forward to this game since its reveal trailer back in TGA 2023, where we got a glimpse of its stunning cel-shaded artistry within a dark fantasy Souls-like world. We then got to play at Gamescom in August, but only for a very short amount of time. However, recently we got a code to try out the closed beta, thank you to Neopal, and got to play 3 missions, which equate to about 7 hours of playtime. So today, I want to go over what we learned from that beta, along with some further impressions of the game, which could be the next big Souls-like. First, let's take a look at combat.
Quick thing, I am so here for another Souls-like game. I am a huge Souls-like fan. I want more Souls-like games that has the Souls mechanics, but they're not all as painstakingly difficult as like Elden Ring and as like Bloodborne. I wouldn't mind if some of them were a little bit more chill, but man, if this is going to be another Souls game that's going to be challenging, I'm here for it.
With UI on to give you a better idea of what's happening and a recap in case you missed our last video or just can't remember it. Let's go over the basics first. On the bottom left of the HUD, you have a health bar, stamina bar, consumables, and healing items known as Netherworld Energy. You start off with a dual-wielded axe and sword with light attacks, heavy attacks, and charged heavy attacks.
Quick thing, I thought I was going to mention, I guess not. The bottom over here, it seems like these are the consumable items you can have on rotation. Then we have our health bar, and I guess our stamina bar. I suppose the will stat does not increase your mana since you don't have any mana.
Attacks. The key system of combat is exhaustion. Attacking foes will deal damage to their health bar and their stamina bar, which once depleted will leave them exhausted. This opens a window to land some free hits and a brutal attack that regenerates your stamina and deals massive damage. However, enemy attacks can also damage your stamina, and if you get hit with low stamina, you will be exhausted for around 2 seconds. This system should be familiar to you if you've played Nioh, Sekiro, or even Elden Ring, as it's quite similar to the ones found in those titles. For defense, you want to mainly be parrying enemy attacks to deplete their stamina meter while also mixing in some perfect dodges, which can lead to empowered dodged attacks. Like Sekiro, these defensive options will deplete your stamina, but will never completely exhaust you, meaning you can still be hyper-aggressive with attacks if you're confident that you can parry every attack thrown at you afterwards. Enemies can also execute unblockable burst attacks, which you can counterattack with a special input, exactly like the burst attacks from Nioh 2. At the start of the first Berserker...
If it's like in Nioh 2, one thing that's really important, because in Nioh 2, the burst attack, you'd have to parry with a special ability, and it did not always work as intended. It was extremely frustrating. And then I ended up mostly just playing with the red yokai form because it was the most reliable that you could constantly get off. The blue yokai form was definitely my favorite one that I wanted to play with the most, but I could not consistently pull off the counter. So if they have a similar system as Neo 2, I cannot stress the importance of mastering the counter system. It has to be flawless, okay? It has to work every time as intended, or it's gonna bring up a huge amount of frustration to players, and a lot of people might drop the game. I, on the other hand, like beating my head against a brick wall, which is why I didn't drop the game. But please, 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 make sure it works properly.
Khazan, the combat feels slow and methodical since you have to focus on managing your stamina bar. It's once you unlock the other two weapon types and the weapon skill trees, then combat starts to develop into a hack and slash, becoming more like Devil May Cry. The other two weapon types are a guts-like greatsword and an incredibly fast spear. Both weapons get their very own light attack and heavy attack strings, as well as separate skill trees with several unique abilities and passives that give the player many more options. Additionally, respeccing was completely free in the beta.
What is these things filling up at the meter, at the bottom? I maybe, because it seems like it fills up the more damage you inflict, so maybe once it's full, or maybe one, you have 6 of them, so maybe this is how you use your skills, and like a skill uses a certain amount.
So in the full launch, I believe you'll be able to swap between weapons at any point in the game very easily. Next, let's take a look at skill trees and skills. The dual wield tree has skills focused on complete frenzy, encouraging a ruthless and fast-paced slice and dice playstyle. Even the resource-free skills are gnarly, like a whirlwind attack lifting the enemy into the air and chopping them up, which can combo off any light attack or parry, or mobility moves that allow you to close the distance while slicing them up. The active skill Ruthless is especially awesome, really feeding into the berserker playstyle.
Oh, okay, I did not see, but actually on the bottom right corner, right next to Extra Life, you will see that there are skills over here. So yeah, this is probably your will, and this is the meter that you're going to use those skills. You basically use the R1, or I think it's right bumper for Xbox, and most likely you have the 3 skills are going to be mapped to the 3 face buttons: square, triangle, and circle.
For the greatsword, it starts off very slow, but has upgrades to make it feel more manageable, like an unstaggerable passive and some very fast active skills, such as the giant hunt skill, where Khazan leaps into the air and plunges the greatsword downwards in an explosive AoE, or the defensive warcry skill, which can counter an enemy attack and enhance attack. Lastly, the spear is the most dexterous of the 3 and my favorite, designed to chain moves together to create infinite combos until you deplete all your stamina. It has a fantastic passive move called Moonlight, where you create after images after all your attacks if you can land a full light attack string. For active skills, the Crescent Strike skill plunges the spear into the ground for big AoE damage.
As much as I like the two-handed, I think it's very cool. I mean, I just played, like, I'm over 100 hours on Black Myth Wukong, so I'm really feeling spears slash like staff builds, infinite combo type of shenanigans. So I think I might have to be a spear player. Let me know what weapon interests you the most in the comment section below.
And the after image thrust is a basic but effective consecutive stab move. The main gist of the playstyle is to experiment with all the chaining moves to create some fat combos, which can be quite daunting at first, but is actually easy to get the hang of. All in all, I think they did a really good job with combat. The animations play a huge part in making it feel good, but the base systems are all designed in a way where they strike the balance between being difficult while also feeling fair and fun to play.
It feels like Khazan the First Berserker is going to be a Souls-like-ish game, but with combos, which I've really been looking forward to. I love the Souls game. I think it's a fantastic franchise. I just love a game that allows me to have like these flashy combos. I understand because the way the game is made, you need to have limitations on the player to have that kind of David and Goliath setting. However, whenever I have like the chance to pop off a really cool combo, the amount of dopamine that just like bam hits me around the brain is fantastic. So if Khazan can find a good balance with the Souls aspect, that difficulty, but still allow players to have these really cool combos, I could see this game getting like really, really big and becoming one of my all-time favorites.
My only gripes while playing were some frustrating hitboxes against the final boss, and initially the slow pace with stamina management, which made me miss.
Yeah, that hitboxes in these kind of games are so annoying. I'll bring up Black Myth Wukong again because that's what I'm playing right now. Erlang. There's one of his like it's the same move. He jumps and he lunges towards you. He could miss you. The animation could miss you, and you're to the side, and then you'll get teleported onto a spear. It is so annoying. Fix that, and fix it here too.
My green turtle talisman. Next, let's take a look at level design and progression. The first Berserker Khazan is divided into different regions with multiple checkpoints. Once you reach the end of Mission 2, you'll unlock the Firelink Shrine of the game known as the Crevice. It looks like once the player reaches this point, the basic gameplay loop will be to go to a region, kill the main boss, then go back to the Crevice and move on to the next region. From what I've seen, the game will be pretty linear since each region is detached from one another, and it won't have the connectivity of something like Dark Souls, for example. However, the content of the regions in the game are fairly well done. I noticed a lot of verticality when I was navigating through them, as well as quite a few branching paths that would...
I think we're going to get something similar as to Black Myth Wukong, where it's an actually pretty linear game. Anyone who's played Black Myth Wukong knows for a fact that once you get past Chapter 2, the game opens up immensely. It is still not an open world game, but it's very much like a hub-based world where you have your... Well, you don't have a main hub in Black Myth Wukong, but in Berserker, the first Berserker Khazan, there will be a hub area, and you're going to have those different hub areas. And the fact there's a lot of verticality leads me to believe that there might actually be quite a bit of exploration to be done on the levels. And I'm also going to be taking a leap of faith here and saying the further you get into the game, the bigger the levels are going to get. And then probably towards the end, the levels are going to get small again, narrowing you closer to the final confrontation. But, you know, that's just my guess.
Lead to chests, items, or soul stones that are used to unlock abilities. I definitely wouldn't say that the level design is fantastic, but I do think it delivers sufficient exploration to underpin the combat. The progression of the game basically falls in line with every other Souls-like, but it does take some interesting liberties. In order to level up, you defeat enemies to earn Lacrima, which you can spend at a Blade Nexus checkpoint to level up your Vitality, Endurance, Strength, Willpower, or Proficiency. If you die, you lose all your Lacrima and have to do the run back to pick it back up.
Legacy system. I'm okay with the legacy system. I am kind of bored of it. I really enjoyed how, what's it called now? Stellar Blade and Black Myth Wukong did not have legacy systems, even though they were Souls-like in nature. And I am okay with this being another legacy system game, but I am getting a little burnt out on it, to be completely honest.
Where this seems to deviate is when you fight bosses. If you die to a boss, the Lacrima will spawn outside the boss room.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so tired of losing my souls because I went into a boss room and I didn't realize it was a boss room. Because not all boss rooms look the same. Okay? You enter and then you realize there's the yellow fog and then you're stuck behind the wall. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm just going to lose all of my XP.
And you will also seem to earn some Lacrima for having an attempt. Additionally, skill points are earned by attacking anything with your weapons, which means you're also earning skill points while dying to bosses. If this isn't just a beta feature, this is a pretty big difference from other Souls-likes, as your character will constantly be progressing while you spam attempts against bosses. I'm not completely sure how I feel about it, but if it's intended, I'm curious to see how they implement it for the full launch. Other than levels...
I like that. I think it's a really cool feature, because as you play the game, the player, and you die to this boss multiple times, you are getting better. And I think that your character gaining skill points as he dies against the boss kind of parallels the player's journey. Yes, you've lost, but you've definitely improved. So I think it's a great idea. I hope we're not like getting too many skill points because I don't want to overpower the boss or anything like that. But it really does make a nice parallel between the player and the character because you guys are both progressing even through failure.
And skills, there are also some gear in the game that you can find in chests and from enemies. The frequency at which you get gear is similar to Dark Souls, with maybe 10 or so found per mission. However, the way that armor works is much more like Nioh. Armor dropped will have defensive stats that scale with your current level, and will randomly drop between uncommon and epic rarities. You'll find a lot of the same gear pieces but with different rarities and also different attributes. There will also be random attributes for gear that is uncommon or greater, and some specific armor pieces will also have a fixed attribute that will always be dropped on it. Some pieces will also have set bonuses, but I wasn't able to try out any since the beta didn't have merchants or enemies to get a full set. From the few pieces I found, they seem to be very impactful to your overall build and playstyle. The purple chest set piece I found had some insane stats, like learning a whole new skill or minus 500%.
See, I'm okay with a gear system like that enemies drops and it's color based and it's all about numbers and it scales with you. I just don't want a situation like in Neo 2 where every couple of minutes, like maybe like every half hour, I need to stop and then I need to empty out my inventory because my inventory is maxed out because enemies are dropping so many items. Like it completely kills any motivation on finding the items because like, oh, it's just another number. It's another number. It's another number. It's another number. Like, I don't want to be looking at the gear that is necessarily giving me the highest numbers. I want gear that like, oh, this gear set has a really crazy set bonus, you know, and now I'm hunting for that specific gear. However, from what they're showing and the amount of duplicates we have here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 duplicates of the same armor. I know it's the beta. However, the beta is a reflection of the full game, so I do believe that we're going to be doing a lot of inventory management.
To stamina damage when you parry, which I assume means you gain 500% of the stamina lost back. That being said, there still isn't much build customization in the game yet. You will probably end up getting every skill in the skill tree, so there won't be variety like you would see in the likes of Neo. However, the depth of each weapon with passives and skills that can chain into each other creates many possibilities to learn and master as you progress the game. One last thing.
Quick thing, if this is going to be a Neo type of system where you're just getting like a crazy amount of gear, please put transmog day 1, please. Because if I'm just looking at numbers, I don't care what it looks like, but if you gave me the choice, to look like a badass mother, I'd be very happy.
I want to touch on for the subject of gear are time rifts, which are basically revenants from Neo 2. You can summon revenants of adversity from red time rifts to get blue set gear as well as special lacrima of circulation. You can use these on yellow time rifts before bosses to summon a spirit of advocacy who helps you in the boss fight. Lastly, I want to give some final thoughts on the story and setting now that I've had a proper playthrough of the beta, but be warned, there are spoilers. As you probably know, Khazan is a war general turned death row inmate after being accused of treason against the CLosed Empire. The game doesn't provide many details in the beginning, offering only a few vague lines about his conviction and the brutal torture he endured. We see him transported in a cage, bloodied and battered after they severed the tendons in both his arms, leaving him utterly powerless in the face of his impending execution. As he's being transported, the Blade Phantom stops the transport and inhabits his body, restoring both his arms with the Netherworld energy, while also trying to kick him out of his own skin. Once you reach Mission 2, Khazan has to face 3 divine trials in order to confront the Blade Phantom's physical form before his body is completely taken over. In this fight, it's hinted through design choices and death voice lines that Blade Phantom is actually the amalgamation of several warriors. Once Khazan defeats him, he proposes an alliance. Khazan needs his arms to take revenge upon the nobles and the Emperor, and the Blade Phantom needs his body to restore order to the Netherworld, so they agree to mutually coexist to accomplish each other's goals. But that's...
Yo, we got a Naruto and Kurama situation. I'm about it.
About as far as the story really goes at this point, but I think it's a great foundation for what could come next in the future. The mystery behind the Emperor's betrayal and the strange behavior of the Netherworld could be related and serve to make an interesting plot. The backstory of Khazan is told from hints in dialogue and notes.
I really hope I can get that armor set because it's actually pretty fire.
You pick up, leaving it to the player to piece together his legendary fight against the Berserker Dragon, as well as the setting itself. The setting seems to include the existence of mages, powerful dragons, reptilian dragonkin, Seppo temple monkeys, and giant yeti monsters, with room to add much more given how broad the scope of the world seems to be. Overall, the story and setting of this dark fantasy revenge tale is honestly right up my alley, being clearly inspired by Berserk with its gritty atmospheres, gory combat, and of course the revenge-focused plot. It's also a breath of fresh air since most Souls-like worlds are set after the world has collapsed from some disastrous event, whereas it looks like here we'll be seeing the peak of an empire and maybe throwing it into anarchy. If they can continue building on the setting and keep the plot engaging, I think it could elevate the overall experience of the first Berserker Khazan to another level. Final thoughts.
Honestly, I'm super happy. I think it's a breath of fresh air. I think that this is definitely headed in the right direction. I like the art style. I like the gameplay. I like that it's a bit more combo heavy versus a regular Souls-like. And I am just looking forward to more things about Berserker, the first Berserker, Khazan. That's where I'll be ending the video today. If you want to see the rest of Effectualized video, the links are in the description down below. While you're down there, hit like, favorite, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, because we're trying to hit 400 subs before the end of the month. And if you don't want to help, well, remember, at the end of the day, I'm just some guy on the internet, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. If you want to see more of my face, be sure to click on the video you see on screen right now.